A very good afternoon and a warm welcome to all of you in our today's program. Today we are having a virtual CPE meeting on leadership skills required during challenging times, wherein eminent speakers will be deliberating on pertinent topics. To moderate our today's program, we have CA Divya Chandra with us. CA Divya is the treasurer and Sikasa chairperson of Prayagraj branch of CIRC of ICAI. She has also been associated with various NGOs involved in social activities. She also imparts valuable knowledge in various programs organized by a number of professional institutes, schools, colleges, and universities. Over to you, madam, for taking the proceedings ahead. Divya, ma'am.
Thank you, Shanu, ma'am. Very good afternoon and welcome to all of you. It's really a great honor for me to have this opportunity to be a part of this virtual CPE meeting on leadership skills required during challenging times, being organized by Women Members Empowerment Committee of ICI. Really thankful to each and every one of you for being here with us today. I would like to express my sincere appreciation and heartfelt gratitude to CA Kemisha Soni ma'am, Chairperson, Women Members Empowerment Committee, who is the best example for all of us of inculcating leadership skills during such tough times and a real source of inspiration for all of us. In today's VCM, we will have interaction with our successful women leaders, CA Bhavna Doshi ma'am and CA Sangeeta Agarwal ma'am, who will give us their deliberations on their professional journey and achievements. I'm sure guidance from our influential women leaders will definitely help all of us to have improved ability to show us as a leader in challenging situations. Now, without taking much time, I would like to introduce a dynamic leader, CA Kemisha Soni ma'am. CA Kemisha Soni ma'am has been chairperson of Women Leadership Committee of South Asian Federation of Accountants of SAARC countries for 2 consecutive years, 2019 and 2020. She's chairperson of Continuing Professional Education Committee, Women Power Members Empowerment Committee, vice chairperson, Ethical Standards Board, convener of Digital Reengineering and Learning Directorate of the ICI. She is serving her 2nd consecutive term in the Central Council of Chartered Accountants of India. Being an outstanding professional and a committed member of the council, she has been nominated as a member to distinguished international forums for accounting professionals such as SAFA committees of SAARC countries on professional ethics and independence and small and medium practices for 2 years in a row from 2016 to 2018 and again in the year 2019-20. In 2017-18, she also served as observer, International Ethics Standard Boards for Accountants at the prestigious International Federation of Accountants, New York, and currently holds the position of technical advisor. Apart from her extensive international experience, she has hemmed the affairs as chairperson, vice chairperson, and convener of many committees. Committee for Capacity Building of Members in Practice.
Thank you, Divya. Thank you, Divya. No need of introduction. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that is a small introduction of CA Kemisha Soni ma'am. She has many feathers to her caps. And she has also, I would like to say, she has many first to her credits. First, women chairperson of Indore branch, first women representation in CIRC, and first women representation in Central Council. So we heartily welcome you, ma'am, and really honored to have you as a leader. So I request you to kindly give a welcome address. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for kind introduction, Divya. A very good afternoon and a warm welcome to all my friends in today's VCM. In absentia, our co-chairman WMEC, CA Pramod Jain, who is also chairman of Committee on International Taxation and chairman of Taxation Audit Quality Review Board. Our renowned and eminent faculty for today's VCM and also ex-former Central Council member, I would say that 2 stalwart of our profession, I can say, CA Bhavna Doshi ji from Mumbai and CA Sangeeta Agarwal ji from Kolkata. Our moderator, very active and dynamic ex-chairperson, Divya Chandra ji, treasurer, and Sikasa chairperson, Prayagraj branch of CIRC of ICI. From office side, Secretary WMEC, Shanu Goyal ji, and Ruchi. And dear participants, it's give me immense pleasure to welcome all of you today in this VCM on leadership skills required during challenging times, which is organized by Women Member Empowerment Committee of ICI as part of its initiative to upskill, motivate, and guide women members for better professional and personal growth. We are proud to state that our women professionals have grown exceptionally well, making their presence both at the national and international frontier. Today, women occupy more than 27% of the chartered accountancy membership and 42% of the active student base, while also achieving better results consistently. So ICI, in its existence of more than 7 decades, has always played active role in professional development of its members. So towards the same, the Women Member Empowerment Committee of ICI has taken various initiatives to not only upskill female members, but also to motivate and inspire them by successfully organizing virtual programs on pertinent topics like leadership skills, work-life balance, etc. For the information of our female chartered accountant, we have also designed specific program. For example, Independent Women Director, we have designed workshop related to that. Then Women Entrepreneurship Program, startup related workshop we have already launched. And about 4 areas of practice. So we have designed module of that also. For example, GST, Income Tax, Companies Act, then certain digital related, software related, ABC analysis related. So we have compiled and recorded lecture of that also uploaded on our WMEC portal. So our member can take benefit of that. And we have also invited some very famous and eminent speakers in our virtual programs to inspire women members. It is said leadership helps to maximize efficiency and to achieve goals. So leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. In case even 1% of our participants are motivated by our speakers to achieve more and excel in life, we will feel fortunate to be the part of their success. So it's rightly said, if our actions inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. So coming to the theme of today's VCM, leadership skills required during challenging times, we are fortunate to have with us eminent speakers today, CA Bhavna Doshi ji, to deliberate on skill required to be a successful leader in challenging times, and CA Sangeeta Agrawal ji, to deliberate on going beyond ordinary. So CA Bhavna Doshi madam is an independent consultant specializing in the field of indirect taxation. She also serves as independent director on boards of several listed companies, and also she has served as a member of the Council of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, and also as a member of Compliance Committee of the International Federation of Accountants headquartered in the New York. I welcome you, ma'am, to our today's program.
Thank you.
CA Sangeeta Agrawal ji qualified as a chartered accountant in 89, senior chartered accountant of our profession. She became perhaps the country's first woman CA professional to head a publicizedly listed stockbroking company as its MD. And she has received more than 25 coveted awards, including the FICCI Flow Outstanding Women Professional Award, the Indira Gandhi Priyadarshini Award, etc. So list is so long. So through her biodata, definitely Divya will cover her achievement. So I welcome you, madam, to our today's VCM, and I am sure our participants today will be benefited by the deliberation of our both the esteemed speakers. I sincerely hope that today's VCM will help you to gain knowledge about various leadership and other skills required to be successful in your life. I wish all of you a great and successful career ahead. With this brief, for further understanding, I would request our learned speaker to enlighten the members, and again over to Divya ji. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your kind and knowledgeable words. Now, moving ahead towards the session, we are having our eminent speaker, CA Sangeeta Agrawal, ma'am, who will be sharing her views on the topic, going beyond the ordinary and being a leader. I would like to introduce her. Already, Khamisha ma'am has given her a very brief introduction, but I would like to elaborate on that so that we can get inspired, the participants get inspired by their achievements. So, CA Sangeeta Agrawal ma'am hails from a business family having its roots from Uttar Pradesh. She graduated in commerce from Calcutta University and qualified as a CA in 1989, and after a 1-year industrial training with ITC Limited at its head office in Kolkata. Despite lucrative career options, post-qualification, she chose to become a stockbroker, partially influenced by her great-grandfather, who was the first Indian president of the Calcutta Stock Exchange. She took up the membership of the NSE to establish a stockbroking company and soon went public with the shares of a company listed on the Bombay, Calcutta, and Cochin stock exchanges to become perhaps the country's first woman CA professional to head a publicly listed stockbroking company as its MD. Subsequently, Sangeeta ma'am also took membership of the NCDX to become one of the very few women commodity brokers of the country. Despite facing repeated nerve-shattering personal tragedies and professional challenges, Sangeeta ma'am guided her company as strictly delivering a more than 100% growth year on year to cement her place as one of the leading stockbrokers. Her efforts has been recognized by her receiving more than 25 awards, including the FICCI FLO Outstanding Women Professional Award from the hands of then Finance Minister, the Indira Gandhi Priyadarshini Award from the then Defense Minister, the Rotary Club of Kolkata Award, the Outstanding Young Person of the West Bengal Award from the then Sports and Transport Minister of West Bengal, and Bharat Nirman Award, which is given to women for their outstanding achievements and which was personally instituted by the ex-president of ICI, Mr. M.C. Bhandari. Her biodata has been published by the American Biographical Institute for her achievements, and she was also nominated for the prestigious Woman of the Year Award by the ABI. She also features in the Asia Pacific's Who's Who 1999-2001. Ma'am has featured in many articles published about her achievements in leading magazines, newspapers, and on TV, including national news. In 2011, at the height of professional success, Ma'am decided to listen to her inner calling to be engaged with the charitable cause and closed down her flourishing business. She was fortunate to be offered the platform of one of the India's and the world's most respected spiritual masters, Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar, and joined one of the organizations, Sri Ravi Shankar Vidya Mandir Trust, unit in Kolkata, as its CFO, where she is presently working. While we often read about many women who have left service to set up a successful business, it is rare to come across a woman who has closed down a flourishing business to engage herself in a charitable institution. Ma'am's unique story will definitely inspire a lot of women to teach them that success is yours if you don't give up. So we heartily welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And over to you, ma'am. We request you to carry your session.
Thank you, ma'am. I will like to reiterate, if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. This is what John Quincy Adams, the 6th President of United States of America, said while addressing his nation. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Chairperson CA Kamisha Soniji, committee members of WMAC, Vice Chairman Sir, and my professional colleagues. It is indeed an honor to be addressing an august audience on a common yet such a vital topic, going beyond the ordinary, being a leader. I thank WMAC of ICAI for giving me this vast platform and a wonderful opportunity of doing so. Leadership is an inherent trait in each one of us, often augmented by situations and displayed either willingly or unwillingly, either knowingly or unknowingly by us. It is not an exclusive privilege belonging to few. However, only a few are aware of their leadership traits or get an opportunity of displaying them repeatedly. Most of us are either unaware or complacent about them and are ignorant of the fact that usually some inborn leadership qualities are present in everyone, which evolving work-life situations will require us to display, often more occasionally than otherwise. To begin with, I cannot resist the desire to speak a few words about leadership in challenging times, especially because of the new demands that the ongoing crisis caused due to the pandemic has placed on leadership. Harvard Business Review states, a crisis is a change, either sudden or evolving, that results in an urgent problem that must be addressed immediately. For a business, a crisis is anything with the potential to cause sudden and serious damage to its employees, reputation, or bottom line. It is marked by unfamiliarity and therefore uncertainty. And though it may leave leaders shaken, it can also be present a wonderful opportunity of growth. True leaders flourish in such situations rather than succumbing to it. Hardship has always been a catalyst for remarkable men and women to rise up to challenges. Psychologist Jeremy Hunter has stated that in challenging times, leaders should think about themselves as islands of coherence in a sea of chaos and find strength and abilities that are latent inside them as a leader. Challenging times call for urgent guidance and focused action, requiring a leader to step away from routine daily decisions to take on complex responsibilities. To do this, a leader will have to be capable to use adversity to his or her advantage by taking largely improvised decisions, emphasizing speed over precision, quickly adapting to change, constant engagement with one's team, and passing on authority to lower levels to take swift decisions for damage control, even without approval. Coming back to the subject of my talk today, going beyond the ordinary, becoming a leader, I would like to say that what distinguishes the ordinary from the one that goes beyond is the clarity of one's ideas, the depth of one's commitment, and the openness of continual learning and creating newer and richer experiences for people. This process of going beyond the ordinary is an arduous but rewarding journey of continuous learning and self-development. And the first step in this process is the irrepressible desire and the irrefutable conviction that the leader must have to not only change his or her life, but also that of their team from a life of success to a life of significance. Instead of skimming the surface on a plethora of leadership styles, methods, principles, and techniques or tools of how to go beyond the ordinary and become a leader, due to both paucity of time and the complexity of the subject, I have restricted today's talk to a more in-depth discussion on just a couple of lessons and of course a few techniques that I have learned during my work. But before I do that, let me briefly run through some common qualities and traits that a leader needs to have. Leadership is a multitude of forms and manners and scarcely any rules and regulations. True leaders are not born but become one by the equality of their actions and the integrity of their thoughts. Leadership development consultants Jack Zender and Joseph Hoffman asked more than 3 lakh business leaders to rank the top competencies from a list of key leadership skills. They found that though there cannot be any predetermined or preset qualities that the leader must have, these are the following traits that are most common. Inspires and motivates others, displays high integrity and honesty, solves problems and analyzes issues, strives for results, communicates powerfully, builds relationships, displays technical or professional expertise, displays a strategic perspective, develops others, and innovates. A leader will carve out his own path and also leave a trail for others to follow. This can only happen when he displays the confidence to stand alone, the courage to take tough decisions, and the compassion to listen to others. Initially, he may not know how to do so. This is natural and acceptable. But if a leader has the ability, rather the fondness, to walk the lesser known path, he will ultimately do so. Mahatma Gandhi said, "If I have the belief and I can do it, I will surely acquire the capacity to do it, even if I may not have it at the beginning." A leader is the one who makes those around him better. He knows how to nurture employees and train them properly. If you want to get out of the ordinary, you will have to ensure that your subordinates deepen their existing skills and learn new ones. You will have to empower your team members by sharing your experiences with them and convey to them that you are always there to guide them so that they can not only complete the tasks more effectively, but also learn and thereby grow to become better leaders themselves. A good leader will not seek control, but let go, delegating others to control, and in turn, making them become effective leaders themselves. Training, education, and learning of the team members are important because leadership does not begin nor does it end with oneself. It is a continuous and ongoing process. Just like the flowing water of a river, leadership never stops or ceases. The final test of a leader is that he leaves behind him in other men the conviction and the will to carry on. But rather than merely theoretical learning, it is more practical, real life experiences that are far more lasting and impactful. The most sensible people to be met with in society are those men of business and of the world who argue from what they see and know, instead of spinning cobweb distinctions of what ought to be. Isn't it true that often the uneducated have the exuberance of invention and the greatest freedom from prejudice? To become a leader more so in these challenging times, one needs to break free from the narrow shackles and boundaries of structured learning and start to learn afresh from one's own unique, dynamic, and ever-evolving environment to be able to generate newer tools and techniques which are best suited for that environment. There can never be a tailor-made, perfect fit model of leadership across the board. My experience has taught me that in order to grow out of the ordinary and be a leader, the most effective tools are self-examination, contemplation, and self-awareness on one hand, and communication on the other. Leadership, in my opinion, cannot exist without or beyond these. I shall sequentially dwell on both. The need for and the significance of self-examination and self-reflection heading to self-awareness has been stated even centuries ago by famous philosophers like Confucius, Socrates, and Plato. Know thyself has been inscribed on the forecourt of the temple of Apollo at Delphi. During challenging times, its importance is all the more relevant. However, these still remain most leaders' least favorite activities. Self-reflection means taking time to think, contemplate, examine, and review yourself as part of increasing your self-awareness. Applied to leadership, it means carving out time to review yourself as a leader, and it is critical for your leadership development. Self-examination encompasses all the following: examining your current skill set, strengths, weaknesses, behavioral patterns, and how you influence others, and interrogating your values, goals, and ambitions. It results in increasing your self-knowledge, alignment, authenticity, learning and growth, and accelerates improvement in your leadership skills. As introspection and self-reflection makes one better understand not only oneself, but others too. Confucius says, by three methods we may learn wisdom. First, by reflection, which is noblest. Second, by imitation, which is easiest. And third, by experience, which is the bitterest. After a careful examination, you will be surprised to know that most of our hours are taken up in eating, drinking, sleeping, And if I may add a recent urban phenomena, commuting. In the remaining hours, how much time do we have to inspire, motivate, and encourage others? And after all these, do we ever self-examine or contemplate? Very rarely, if at all, because we are so busy taking care of a life filled with such inconsiderable actions and therefore receive so very small improvements. Joseph Addison, who was the master propagator of self-examination or contemplation, has said, and I quote, "One may become wiser and better by several methods of employing oneself in secrecy and silence, and do what is laudable without noise or ostentation. This kind of self-examination, coupled with contemplation, would give one a true state of themselves and incline them to consider seriously what they are about." Unquote. A self-aware leader becomes more humble as he realizes that he is not perfect and begins asking himself, how can I improve? And the moment this happens, it helps to unlock potential both in the leader and his team. The next key quality for a manager to go beyond the ordinary and become a leader is a soft skill known as communication. Effective communication has to first begin with oneself. Contemplation plays a real role in this. Thereafter, it needs to be expressed by communicating it to the outside world. For the first without the latter is akin to a leg which cannot move. There can be no progress until and unless there is a perfect synchrony between the two. For effective communication, a leader must not only be a good speaker, but also a good listener, absorbing the best from the environment that surrounds him and by taking everyone along. Leaders listen first and speak last. No communication can be effective or serve its purpose if it is not based on sincerity and truthfulness. For communication with a veil of deceit, disguised only to mislead, confuse, missell, hide, malign, or misrepresent, can only at best serve short-term purposes. It is bound to hit you back like a boomerang. Communication helps a leader to connect with people, which one is responsible for. This connection starts with your ability to be transparent. A leader has to be authentic. People should believe that what they are seeing in a leader is genuine and not an act. So a leader has to demonstrate openness, humility, and integrity to lead people. If you want to go beyond the ordinary and be a leader, it is essentially your character and not your circumstances that will take you there. Truthful communication has almost magical powers. It not only conveys correctly and with good intentions, but also earns you trust, and in the long run gives back in return much more than the input. And this accumulation of trust is a measure of the legitimacy of leadership. It cannot be mandated or purchased. It must be given, earned, and built. A leader must also realize that communication is a two-way process. A leader needs to constantly engage with his or her team. Constant feedback is necessary to not only get inputs to enable the leader to take corrective steps, but also as a means to establish trust and confidence. For if a leader is not soliciting suggestions from the team, then the message that the leader is conveying to the team members is that the leader has inadequate confidence in its team members. One-way communication is the easiest way to eliminate people and create robotic employees who don't think that they have the authority to offer ideas or suggestions. And this will surely result in stunting growth and adversely impacting employee morale. Before I wind up today's talk, I would like to present before you the famous allegorical Christian parable, also famously known as Footprints in the Sand. The lessons learned from this biblical poem have left an indelible mark on me and have been guiding me to improve my leadership style. By following them, I have realized that anybody at any time of his life and in whatever situation he may be in can move out of the ordinary to become an effective leader. The biblical story goes like this. On one beautiful night, a devotee, after worshipping God, went to his cozy bed to sleep. It was a cold winter night, and in the warmth and comfort of his soft quilt, he soon went into a deep slumber. Soon he had a very stunning dream. He dreamt that he was walking along the beautiful beach in the company of God. While he was walking along the seashore, the scenes of different incidents and situations from his life flashed one by one across the dark sky. He kept moving and watching the different stages of his life, his good times as well as bad ones. After the last scene of his life flashed before him, he looked back and noticed the footprints in the sand. For each scene, he noticed two sets of footprints in the sand, one belonging to him and the other of his Lord. All of a sudden, he noticed that at many times along the path of his life, especially at the very lowest and saddest times, there was only one set of footprints. This really disturbed him. So he asked God about this. He asked, God, you said that once I decided to follow you, you would walk with me all the way, all the time. But I noticed that during the saddest and most troublesome times of my life, there was only one set of footprints. I don't understand why. When I needed you the most, you were not there for me. God laughed and after some time whispered, my precious child, I love you and I never left you. When you were fine and healthy, I used to walk beside you. So during such times, the extra pair of footprints was visible. When you saw only one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you in my arms. Wherever you were in difficulty and problem, I carried you to protect you. The single set of footprints that you saw in the sand during the lowest phases of your life were mine, with you in my arms. Similarly, a leader has to adopt different roles depending upon the situation he or she has at times to be a friend, a guide, inspirer, encourager, motivator, mentor, example setter, a catalyst of change, a doer, and a protector also if need be. And more importantly, a leader needs to play all these roles silently without his subordinates even knowing about it. Leadership does not have to come with a bang, announcing itself and proclaiming to bring about its change and reform. A leader is best when people barely know he exists. When his work is done, his aim fulfilled, they say, we did it ourselves. Lao Tzu. I also believe that dogmas and prejudices are merely a state of mind, and it's a leader's duty not to succumb to them, but rather challenge and defy them whenever possible, so that we may break free from the stifling chains of blind convention and bring forth a positive change in society. Given a chance, I will never hesitate to challenge or question such prejudices, whatsoever they may be, so that I am not bogged down by them, but in fact, by challenging them, actually grow. Before I conclude, I must candidly admit that despite my vast experience, I still consider myself to be a novice, both as a leader and also in my journey on the path of leadership. However, I take solace from the fact that Socrates was famed for his wisdom, not because he was omniscient, but because he realized at the age of 70 that he still knew nothing. I hope you enjoyed the talk, dear friends. I would now touch upon few subtle yet important aspects of my life. My experiences have taught me to go beyond the ordinary and to develop leadership qualities. One needs to think differently. There is a mind-body connect, the perfect balance of which is imperative, particularly so for leadership. You will be surprised to know that during the last few years of my association with Sri Sri Academy School at Kolkata, I have never even for a single day missed work or stayed back home due to ill health. I have been a regular practitioner of yoga and meditation since childhood, and I have been fortunate to receive the blessings and inspiration from Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar Ji, the founder of our institution, who is a world-renowned spiritual leader. Moving on, during the days of when I was a stockbroker, I remember one day, due to incessant rainfall, the city was waterlogged very steep. Private transport was out of question. And to even board the scarcely operational public buses, one needed to wade through the waist deep water from the house till the main road and again from where one deboarded till office. This was a dangerous proposition, as Kolkata during those days was notoriously famous for open manholes and exposed electric wires during such times. Mobile phones and remote access technology were not available then. It was only possible to log in to the trading platform of the NSE from my office. Since I was committed and aware of the drastic consequences that the volatility of the market could have on my clients, I took the risk and reached office fortunately in one piece. Placing the interest of others over one's own is what makes the ordinary become a leader. This tenacity to go on until the task is done is what brings success. In the midst of all the challenges that volatility and mayhem throw at you, you need to be calm and composed to take the right decisions. Decisions that will not only impact you, but other stakeholders too. This fosters faith and trust along with success. Leadership bereft of commitment is best only a show. It lacks substance. Isn't it true, friends? I'm sure you've all dealt with stock markets, commodity markets, seen it long going up and down. Okay, stock and commodity markets are extremely volatile. Bull phases can be followed by long bear ones. The aftermath of the Harshad Mehta scam, the Ketan Parikh scam, and the 2008 worldwide financial crisis were followed by a long bear market. During such times, work had vanished, confidence was at all-time low, and there were days without even a single transaction. This duality of good times followed by bad ones is an integral part not only of business, of life itself. It is only after experiencing pain, sadness, and failure that you will know and value joy, happiness, and success. To be a leader, one needs to learn to serve and ride the waves. Unfavorable times require you to be patient, to plan, and remain mentally strong. And when the tide turns and you see a new favorable wave coming, then use your skills to ride it high with passion. I have always applied this principle, which has given me a lot of confidence and also helped me steer through challenging times fearlessly. I have also had my part of troubles in my personal life. During the traumatic period when my son was diagnosed with terminal illness, I had a strong desire to spend whatever little time I could with him. But at the same time, I also had a responsibility and commitment to my work. So I developed a technique of switching on and off. I had no choice. Necessity is the mother of all inventions. I sought my mother's help to take care of my seriously ailing child and reached office every day, sharp at 9 a.m., with a heavy heart, knowing that by staying back, there was little that I could do. Once at work, I shut my mind to extremely disturbing thoughts, but once back home, I shut out work completely and immersed myself in taking care of my ailing son. Though this was physically extremely taxing, involving sleepless nights, it helped me fulfill both the roles effectively. Acceptance is a great virtue. A leader needs to ensure that optimism is tempered with realism. As I come to the end of my talk, I recall people say, thank God it's Friday. I say, thank God it's Monday. During the middle stage of my career, I had also doubted my own capacity and capabilities at times. I thought that I am so incomplete and have not given justice to my role as a daughter, mother, or wife. I think each one of us must have encountered such emotions at some point in life. This is perfectly natural and acceptable. But today, as I speak to you, my dear friends, I feel fortunate and complete in sharing my thoughts and experiences of the journey that I undertook to go beyond the ordinary and be a leader. Thank you. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful deliberation. And I hope the participants have learned that in order to go beyond the boundary, a leader have to develop certain qualities. And the most important of all is self-introspection, realizing your weaknesses and strengths, and communication skills, which has to be two-way, listening and speaking both. So thank you, ma'am. And I'm also thankful to you for sharing with us the parable footprints from the Bible, which will help our friends to gain the strength in their troublesome times, in their tough times, because going through is such a source of inspiration for all of us. So thank you, ma'am. Now, moving ahead towards the session, we have our second eminent speaker, C. Bhavna Doshi, ma'am. She will be speaking on the topic, skills required to be a successful leader in challenging times. I hope she is here, Shanu, ma'am.
I'm here.
Welcome, ma'am. So I would like to introduce ma'am to all the participants.
Please, Divya, please be brief, right? Just 2 or 3 points.
2 or 3 points. Okay, ma'am. I'll just read the first para then. Bhavna Doshi, ma'am, is a founder partner of Bhavna Doshi Associates LLP, a boutique tax, accounting, and regulatory advisory firm. Is former partner of KPMG member firm in India. With specialization in the fields of taxation and corporate restructuring, she has been providing advisory services to national and multinational entities over 30 years. She is a chartered accountant and holds master's degree in commerce from University of Mumbai. She has many feathers added to her cap, but I will just say a few and move forward. She's a regular faculty at programs organized by professional institutes and business chambers, contributes articles, and also deliver lectures abroad. And we will also be listening to a deliberation and sure will make value addition in our leadership qualities. So thank you, ma'am, and we heartily welcome you. Over to you, ma'am.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much, Divya. And Sangeeta was a wonderful, wonderful talk. Particularly, the Shri's whole spirituality, the theme, the variety of things that you spoke of. Wonderful, wonderful. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
So with that, I'll go to my topic now. And I have my colleague who will be sharing the screen. I have just few slides, Akshay. Just put together a few slides so it's easy when we are talking. Yeah, so the topic for discussion today is leadership skill in challenging times. And I first of all wanted to compliment Kemisha and Pramod for selecting this subject. This is a topic which is so relevant today, and almost any and everybody is talking about how to go, what do we do, how do we handle situations, and so on and so forth. And in a sense, the time is gloomy. Things are changing, of course, now. But if we just look back about a year ago, the situation was really very bad. Things have changed, but yet we are still thinking, yes, it's opening up, the restrictions are less, we now all have vaccine. But still, there is the fear at the back of our mind that is a third wave on the way? And if third wave comes, what will happen? But then we have to go through this time. We have to go through this crisis. And as even Sangeeta mentioned, there were crises earlier which we have faced. But the crises that we faced earlier were more of financial crisis. What we have seen in our lifetimes is more of financial crisis, economic crisis, whereas today's crisis is more of a socio-economic crisis, in the sense that it is much more of society that is impacted, society in general. And of course, anything which impacts society will also have impact on economy. So in that sense, yes, economy is also impacted. And so we call it as a socio-economic crisis and not the typical, the financial crisis or the normal economic crisis that we have. So in these times, leadership, of course, is very critical, very relevant. So let's first understand what is the difference between the leadership in the time when it is smooth, the normal time when everything is going fine, we don't have any special situations, and what do the people do at that time? The leaders at that time, by and large, as we say, set the vision. And once the vision is set, the purpose is set, then you have your mission, then you have your values. These are general things. But then based on that, what you do as leader is set the goals. And having set the goals now, you start inspiring people to achieve those goals. You empower them, you work with them, and you, in a sense, you work with all your people. So it becomes people and performance. That's what you try to do. And then you, of course, provide the leadership. So if there is any change required, you bring about that change. And then people are talking about the market share, the customer base, the revenues, the geographies, which is what we also as professionals do. When we are in the normal times, what we think is, what should I now target? What is my next, the business, or how am I going to serve my clients? How do I expand my client base? Which is the new area of service that I can get into? Can I look at new geographies? Just as a normal, large, organized business looks at it, we also look at it, though some do it formally, some do it informally, but we all do that somewhere or the other. And then we set our targets for ourselves, and we try to work around it. And then we look at what is the infrastructure that we need, what are the skill sets that we need, what are the relationships that we need to develop. So how is it different when it comes to the challenging time, that is some hard time when we have crisis? Does it change at all? Or can we still continue to say, this is my vision, this is the goal, and we have to achieve that goal. So how do we do it? And that's where we have a change when we talk about the challenging times. So in crisis times, the leader is the one, Akshay, next please. The leader is the one whom people will look up to. They will continuously see, how are you reacting to this crisis? What are you thinking about? And when you even talk to people, they want to assess that what is at your back of your mind. Are you worried so much? Are you concerned so much? Are you confident? Can you think you can handle the situation? Or are you really worried as to what will I do? And if the leader is seen as somebody who's not very confident, who's concerned, who's worried, then that worry, that fear will set into the people who are there around you, with you. So therefore, what is most critical for the leader in this time, in time of crisis, is to be absolutely confident. He must be also very passionate about what he is doing. And what you do during crisis time is very different. He must also be very honest in communicating. He can't say, oh, don't worry, we are all fine, we'll have our regular revenues or things will happen. No, people understand and they know. So what you need to do is, and what a leader needs to do is honestly communicate to the people that this is the situation we are in, this is how it is, but we will, and Akshar, if you can go to the next slide, we will together come out of it. So as John Hogaya stated, the leader demonstrates confidence that the challenge can be met, the need resolved, the crisis overcome. This gives confidence to the people who are around you that yes, we will meet all the challenges that are coming our way. We will resolve every issue that is coming our way. And at the end of it, this crisis will be overcome. Crisis is always overcome. But how you overcome is very relevant. And that is what a leader communicates. So what is the key during the time of crisis? And I would say it's just people, people, people. The most important part of handling crisis is people. You must be seen as somebody who's empathetic, who's concerned, who's caring for the staff. In fact, at one of the sessions, which during this period when the offices were shut and we were under compulsory lockdown at home, there were certain lecture series which were being organized. And in one of them, the Nestle CEO was the speaker. And again, of course, speaker after speaker were all emphasizing the fact that we need to be with our people, look after them. And this Nestle CEO so beautifully put it. He said, we overcame, and he held a town hall. He went to his people and said, look here, we all got over the crisis which was caused by Maggie issues which had come up. And that time they all felt that the entire business relating to Maggie will go, and perhaps large part of their other business may also be impacted. And he said, I told you, don't worry. We are going to be here. We will handle this crisis. And the biggest concern, and what he said was that they have about 80% of their people who are young. So many of them had traveled from one place to another. Some of them were living as paying guests, from different places. When you come, their concern is much more. The fear, the insecurity is much more. So the first thing when this crisis happened, he went around and told people that don't worry, your jobs are safe. Nothing is going to happen to your job. And as far as possible, as much as I can handle, all your salaries will be paid. So don't worry that you will not get your salaries. And this is the biggest concern of people. I remember when we had one of similar programs during that lockdown period, where some young people, they were participating, and the question they had was, we've taken loans, some for housing, some for vehicle buying. And they said, what do we now do? Because our regular income has stopped. Many of them were not getting their salaries in time. So what do they do? And there is really no answer, because when your salary has stopped, obviously your employer or where you are working doesn't have adequate cash flow available. So either they cut the full salary or part salary. It's not that it's just gone, but it will come later. And the only thing one could do at that time or advise them was either try to dig into your savings or see if the loan installments can be rescheduled. But there are so many different types of concerns in the minds of people, and that is what really needs to be taken care of. We also had situation like when people were commuting, when it started opening up and people were commuting, they were so concerned that how do we commute if on the way we somehow if we contact COVID, what will happen? And I'm associated with one of the trusts where they publish newspapers. Now, publication of newspaper, while printing was stopped because the societies were not taking it, there were no distributors. Still, some people were asking for it who were used to it. Some people were not. But at least the online version was on. And that had to be prepared. The work had to be done. And now there were people who were still coming. But we were always worried that what if somebody catches COVID? What happens if somebody is really affected? And then the first thing we decided we'll do is we'll take the insurance for them. At that time, there was a policy available called COVID Kavach, which was giving good, was taking care of the sickness, hospitalization, as also death. So then we said, first of all, let's take the policy. Then there was one death. Again, not of a person who was attending office, but somebody who was not attending office, but he passed away. We immediately said, let's give some compensation. Let's give compensation. Let's be, sensitive to the needs of people. It's not in somebody's hands to do anything. So for the testing, for commuting, even for commuting, if people can't commute because the normal buses and train services are not available or they are too crowded, people have arranged for transportation for them. So that's what is most important for people. Their safety, their security. One of the CEOs of a company, which is a recipient of one of the awards for best places to work, he was narrating and he said there were two areas which they noticed were a big concern. And one was particularly, this is the second wave time when the number of deaths were much more and the need for oxygen was very high. And places like Delhi and some other places, oxygen was not available, beds were not available. So what he would do is he would personally keep in touch with the senior senior team. And then each of his senior team in turn would keep in touch with the next. And they had a whole chain and they would connect regularly. So their focus, CEO said, for 15 days, my only job is to ensure that everybody get their hospital bed, they get oxygen, they get medicines, because very often medicines were not available. Their families, if anyone in the family is affected, they immediately arrange for whatever help they could, sometimes just getting an ambulance, reaching that person. So there were a lot of such things which people did. And that is what matters the most, because people are facing challenges. They were concerned about their security, their safety, so on and so forth. And that is where one of the CEOs was mentioning that he went to his staff, his people, and said, what is our purpose? And he said, all along, when we talk of mission and mission, we always talk of our purpose. So I asked him, what is our purpose? And our purpose all along, what we've been talking about is quality of life. And here is when we all have opportunity to demonstrate that we must really look after our people and ensure that they have their quality of life, come what may. Some companies, and many of them, provided gadgets to the people, because in the homes, whatever gadgets the person had, the employee had, was being used by the children in the family for their schooling. So they provided new gadgets, provided furniture, because that was also becoming difficult. The chair and the table, people are sitting on the chair or on their desk for 8 to 10 hours. Now, at home, it is not made for use office work. So those were provided. And that is where the people focus became absolutely critical. And that's true for all our clients, our service providers. Many of you may have also done it. You might have connected with your clients. You might have spoken to them, found out what are the challenges that they are facing. Are they facing any difficulty? If they don't pay your bills, many of them did that. They didn't raise invoices, reached out to the clients, explained to them that, yes, we understand you have difficulty, so I will not raise the invoice. And invariably, clients came back and said, no, you also have to meet your own expenses. So please at least do some part of it. Balance will make good later, as and when we can. So when you reach out to your clients, your service providers, and many of us who could do it, said service providers, particularly the small ones, must be paid on priority basis. So some people went out of the way and paid in advance to the service providers because they were not getting payments from some other people. So all in all, what I'm trying to say is it's people, people, people. Whether they are your service providers, whether they are your customers, there are people who are working with you, their family, everybody matters a lot. And this is the time, crisis time, particularly this type of crisis, social crisis, where you literally find that so many people, you talk to anybody, they'll tell you someone in my family was in the hospital or somebody passed away, and so on and so forth. So it was truly, truly challenging crisis. And we all had to face it. We have all faced it. Today it looks a little better. And then we've always heard where people say, that lead from front. And we say, okay, a leader is the one who always leads from the front. And then Nelson Mandela says that you can lead from the back. How does that work? Because if you see the picture on the right, you'll also find that the leader is the one who's gone to the right up ahead. And then he's taking everyone with him. And then upper picture is of the boss. We'll say, oh, go and get that done. Irrespective of the crisis, whatever has happened, I don't care. This is the target, you have to achieve it. Doesn't work. All those people have found that the employees left them. Wherever people insisted, ki nahi, thoda kuch karo, you have to get something, people said, sorry, boss, bye-bye. But wherever people said, no, let's see, whatever we can do for our clients, whatever we can handle, let's handle it. They are the ones today who are doing very well. And that's where Nelson Mandela says that you, of course, have to lead from front, but do it in such a way that everyone else feels that they are in front. They are the leaders, they are the driving force. You are only guiding them. So you are little away from them and helping them lead. That's the true leader. And then there is this very interesting quote from John Kennedy. He says that you look at crisis in Chinese, it has two characters. Chinese is very, very difficult to read and write. So there are two characters. One represents danger, which is in crisis, and the second represents opportunity, which is so true when we talk about this current crisis, the COVID crisis. One, we were all the time in that danger of getting caught, being hospitalized. And even some people losing their lives. But at the same time, it provided phenomenal opportunities to us. So the biggest opportunity, of course, as people say, was that you got time for yourself. Normal course, you are working very long hours. So here you got some time to think about yourself. And many people took up the hobbies for which they never had time. You read books, you saw movies, which otherwise you would rarely get time to see. You heard so many lectures online, so you learned new skills. In fact, some people singing, dancing, yoga, whatnot. Anything that one wanted to do in life and couldn't do it, you found that opportunity and one started learning. But the most important gift or the opportunity of this current crisis is embracing of the digital world. All of us started using the gadgets so effectively. We all started, we had to work from remote. So we started connecting online. Initial days, you used to feel, it's not so good, it's not like personal meeting. Vibes are different. But now we all have got used to. And every second day, the client says, my commute takes me 1 hour. Why don't we do it on Zoom? So it's sort of becoming way of life. And as a result, it has opened up so many new geographies for everybody and for us professionals in particular. So what we find is today now when we have a program like this, people from all across the country, and in some programs, we have people from international also joining in. Now that's all feasible because of this electronic media. Otherwise, it wouldn't have worked. The program would have been organized somewhere in Delhi or Calcutta or Mumbai, and only few people would have attended. Here you have so many opportunities and also so many new areas of practice have opened up, and I'll talk in a minute about it. So we all embrace the change. Every crisis, and if you read, and of course for all of us, Google is the teacher. So when we read about it on Google, we find that of every crisis, every challenge brings about a change. The world is never the same after crisis. So here also, after this crisis, it's going to be different. It's not going to be the same. And we all will also have to learn that this is the time to reset. So what's going to be the new normal? And as we usually say, it's like after COVID and before COVID. There are two different worlds now. Before Christ and after Christ, you now have COVID. So first of all, work from home is a new sort of normal. Not everybody is thinking that their people need to come back to office. In fact, several people have in fact reduced the office space on the basis that part of their staff will work from home. They will not come to office. So many people who didn't have very big staff, and so many lawyers for that matter, so many consultants who were not so big consultants, in a sense renowned, but sort of individual or one or two people, they have given up their offices and have set up home office. They're working from home. They're saying, why should I go to office? I can do everything from home. I have my, and initial days, one of my friends said, Bhavna, we prepared for everything. But one thing which we forgot, to have our secretaries also stay with us. We had to make that arrangement because then the life would have been as it is, as before. But things have become sort of different. So some people will work from home. Several organizations, and I always used to envy people particularly when I used to go to London at our office, so many of them will say, I take Friday off, or somebody would say, I take Monday off because I go away for weekends. So I work for 4 days a week. Why should I work for 5? I take one day, either Monday or Friday off. So spend time at whatever their outhouse or family house or whatever. But that's the way they do. Some people, and even like in between for the institute only, we had one program. So there was one very renowned professor. So she said, oh, today is my work from home day, so I'm joining from home. That's what they do, because some days in a week they work from home. They said, so we don't have to commute, and life is so simple then. So perhaps that's what is going to happen here also. Some of us will shift to some days work from home. For example, today, I'm also attending from home. So I'm not going to go to office now. I'll do it from home. So that's what is becoming now a sort of reality, which I would never have done earlier. Another very interesting aspect which is changing is currently you have a situation where you have one boss and many employees. So one employer and several employees. So many people have now shifted away from this model. They don't want to work for one employer. Sort of they want to be their own boss. So they say, oh, I'm going to be my own boss. I'm good at this work and I will do it for 3 people, or I'll do it for 2 organizations, and I'll do it at my time and my pace. And employers or the people for whom you work are also very happy, because they also say, I don't have work, full-time work for you. 2 days in a week, if you give me, it's good enough. So several people, particularly I found in media space, several people, and even in HR space, people have changed over to this model where they've given up their regular jobs and they are doing what they call as freelancing. So they do it for 1 or 2 people and give that fixed days in a week to them. And that's again going to be a change which is being, which is what we are seeing. Another very interesting thing is hot desking. What people are now doing is the businesses. So many of them have shifted to what we call as a WeWork model. So you go to a place, it's a big space where you hire few desks for a specified number of hours, or fixed that I want 12 desks for a year. So you will have 12 people at a time who can work there, and your employees will also, because several people who are working from outside. So say our audit staff. So audit staff is outside most of the time. So when they want to come to office, that same desk will be used by them. Then when that person is out, somebody else will be using the space. So you will find that even this infrastructure cost, the investment, is seeing a big change. Digitization, as I spoke already. Another issue is of the cyber risks. They are increasing. We see them day by day. And therefore, it's such a big opportunity for our profession to look at security systems, those who are specializing in that or those who wish to specialize in that. It's another fabulous opportunity which has come up because of this complete change and shifting to digitized world. And another area which we found interesting is and what Sangeeta, you are doing, social, working for the society, and you gave up. It's really something creditable to really give up all of that and move to social work. So many people, current time, because now society is getting more and more focused, and even people are shifting to, and in fact, the whole change is that a whole new social economy has come into existence. So many people are engaging in the work that benefits society at large. Many of these enterprises, social enterprises, are not purely not-for-profit. They say we have to earn profit, but these are reasonable profits, very small profits just for sustaining themselves. So these are the enterprises which are coming up, and so many, like, recently I was judging one competition where there was this, it was about innovation, and this were youth, the people who were studying from 11th standard to 11th, 12th, and the college, degree college. And when they were presenting their projects, their ideas, so many of them were in the field of society, the larger society. How do I use waste? How do I do this? What can I do? And there were such wonderful ideas to bring about a change through a social enterprise. In fact, Maharashtra government is also paying so much attention to that, and they also do this. And when you hear their presentations, they're so fabulous, phenomenal. And I just can't help but talk about one where two very young people were making presentation. They'd come from abroad, and usually when they come, they think that first 2 years of my life I'm going to spend on social work, something which will benefit the society. So they were moving around, and they came with the thought that we must help the people who are living in hutments in Mumbai. They were moving around. They were near the port area, and they saw that these people who bring their big crates, then what they do is there are wooden crates which they just dump outside and take their saman, fill them in the trucks and go away. So there are a lot of these wooden crates lying outside. They were creating a big mess there. So I said, why can't we do something about it? So they just went there, picked them up, collected, and went to a workshop and started thinking about it. Then suddenly they saw somebody with a oil can, tin. So, oh my God, that's the idea. So they picked up that tin, flattened it, and fixed it on that wooden crate. So wherever there were open gaps, they fixed the sheet, this tin sheet. And from that, they started building the houses. So such low-cost house, everything was waste. There were crates which were lying there. And they said, we went around collecting the tins, oil tins, cans, where you get that 16 kg oil. So the tins they started collecting, flattening, and what beautiful homes they had made, small one room, and looked after everything. So where there will be electricity, and they went around these houses in the huts that what do they need? So they need hooks to hang this, they need that. So this is what people are doing today, the social enterprise, and many are doing. Corporates are also focusing on society, the larger societal good. Of course, the governance and environment are also very critical. Sustainability is another very critical area. So these are the new areas which are opening up for us chartered accountants, because these young entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, also need help. They need to prepare their accounts, they need to arrange for their finances, and have to ensure that they comply with all the regulations, so on and so forth. And when corporates are going in for environment, sustainability, governance, lot of work is required in that space where we all as professionals can help. So opportunities galore. It's completely new world, new different opportunities, and that's what the challenging time brings. So the crisis, challenges, danger on one hand, and opportunities on another. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's all talk about opportunities now, how we can handle and how we can, as leaders in our own selves, as Sangeeta had mentioned, that we all are leaders in our own space. So how do we as leaders answer different questions or handle different situations? You may like to share some of the experiences that you may have had. So thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. Actually, you can stop screen share. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for such a wonderful presentation. And we all wanted to know that you have been a council member of ICI and have held such prominent positions. So how do you manage that work-life balance? So all our participants would like to know. So it would have been really difficult task. So we want to know the tips to manage such things. Work-life balance is difficult.
No, that's true. No, one can always do that. It all depends on the time of your life, your age, the way you grow, the support that you have. Like, I was very fortunate to have very understanding mother-in-law. So she was always helpful. Sometimes I would say, that, okay, today I'll skip. She'll say, why? No, you should not do that. So there are, of course, the supportive family is one, your own passion, your own, the drive that I want to do something. And of course, you have to be ready to put in much longer hours. Because see, as a woman, and particularly in India, we all have grown up with certain notions and we can't give that up. And I don't think it's wrong and we should give up. So to us, children, family, all of them are as important as our work. And sometimes they take priority over the work that we do. So in the early days, when my kids were very small, I shifted to part-time work. Said, no, I don't want to work full-time because it's not going to be feasible. Looking after children, though my mother-in-law was very, very supportive, but still a mother is mother. And said, I'm going to spend some time with them. So for some years, I shifted to part-time work. And one thing I would just like to mention, because I find, and currently when I'm interacting with a lot of young people, they all feel that, no, if we do part-time work or if we take a break, we will just be out. Or when you take a break also, one just doesn't get out. Only thing is, you go behind by 1 or 2 years initially, for first few years of your life, but thereafter you make up. Similarly, when you work part-time, naturally you can't compare yourself. Now, if you have worked part-time for 5 years, and then after 5 years you say, I'm 5 years experienced, people are not going to respect that because you don't have 5 years full experience. And 5 years half experience is not even equal to 2.5 years. It's equal to little less, so maybe 2 years. So one should be mentally prepared to accept that. And once you are back to the work full time, you can make up. And I give this my example to people that me and my husband, both of us almost started together. He was 1 year ahead of me. We both started together. Naturally, though he was 1 year ahead, practically he was much ahead because I'd taken a break because of the kids. So I had slowed down working part-time. But is it that I missed out on anything? No. He served on the regional council. I was also elected to the regional council. I also became the chair of the regional council like him. He got elected to the central council. I also got elected. Today he serves as independent director. I also serve as independent director. I also served in a sense, but everything was 10 years behind. What he achieved in year 1, I did in year 10. But how does it matter? Our life is so long. Doesn't matter. And you have to be satisfied what you want to do and what you want to achieve.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your experiences with us. Now, as we all know that Sangeeta ma'am is perhaps the country's first woman CA professional to head a publicly listed stockbroking company as MD. So I would request ma'am to please elaborate on professional opportunities in stock market for our members, for young members.
Ma'am, thank you for the question. The point is, ma'am, when I started and came into stockbroking, that time things were very, very different. In some sense, it was difficult more. In some sense, it was easier. Difficult because being the only woman around, it was difficult to get through to people. But I had to start from scratch. from writing vouchers to learning how to execute the trades, and then moving on to the kind of online platform. So I saw that change from physical, where in the trading hall people would shout and do the transactions. From there on, moving on to the trading platform on the online thing. So the opportunities were there then, but I think now it is manifold. And also, being a chartered accountant, it was easy for us to study balance sheets, to analyze. Also, parallelly, ma'am, I also took technical research courses to equip myself on both the things, both analytical and technical. So opportunities are many, but then we should always remember that earlier it was individually housing brokers, now it is financial institutions, much larger organizations, and individual houses, broking houses, for them to compete is far more difficult. So as an investor, of course, I think we should rely more on professionally run financial institutions and depend on them. At the same time, use your own mind in calculating what risk you can undertake and what you want to do. So that's how you need to keep a balance of both and move ahead. Opportunities are there, definitely. But then you need to calculate your own downside. Once you know that this is my downside, then you can move on fearlessly, because it's important to be secure. So that's all, ma'am.
Yeah, but very interestingly, during this lockdown period, many of our professionals have started, not stockbroking per se, but investing in stock. So many of them have started learning. So recently, our WRC had organized one program on capital markets.
Right.
And I was just asking them that how was the response last year they had organized. Said, oh my God, the response is so phenomenal, and they wanted only A, B, C, some speakers. So, but it's so many people have got into that, so they wanted all the people whom they see on CNBC, that TV18, that capital market.
Basically, prices are run by demand supply, because there are other businesses, the money is flowing out and going into the financial markets. The demand is high, and that is driving the market. It may not be inherently, balance sheet based or merit based. So one needs to be cautious on that count.
Absolutely, Sangeeta. But see, what's happening is at least people who are getting into it are now wanting to learn. So they are analyzing, they are studying, and people are now focusing on certain sectors, identifying companies within those sectors. So the speakers that we had organized for the session were all chartered accountants who are in that space. And so how do they look at it? What do they look at it when they invest? Very interesting.
Markets are far more complex now, because it is not just Indian market. World market affects. Even a small thing affects. So I would say freshers should rely on financial institutions, professionally managed, so that they are not hit hard.
True. Agree.
Thank you, ma'am. We have questions from our participants. So these questions are open to both the speakers. The question is being a leader more difficult for women than men?
Just 1 minute. Are you able to allow them to be seen on the screen or no? Is that feasible? Are people, Shana, is that possible? The person is asking question to raise hand, so you can allow that person.
No, ma'am, it's not. No. We are receiving questions at the admin platform. We are receiving the questions, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, Divya. Can you please go ahead?
Yeah, it's okay, ma'am. Yeah, shall I repeat the question?
Yes.
The question is being a leader more difficult for women than men?
Sangeeta, you want to go?
Yeah, I don't think so, ma'am. I think if you are capable, if you can prove yourself, why should it be difficult? When we approach any organization or go somewhere, you should be able to match up your skills, your knowledge. If you're able to match up, why should it be more difficult? I think we should have to equip ourselves to be able to match it. If you have the capability, I don't think it's difficult. At least I did it.
I agree. In a sense, times have changed. There was a time when it was more difficult, and we heard even people saying that as a woman, you have to work much harder, much stronger to prove yourself. But now things are fairly different because women are accepted generally as leaders. In fact, some of the businesses now look for women leaders because they, particularly those which are people linked businesses, because women are far more considerate, caring, they are more empathetic. So therefore they look at women leaders. In a sense, it is challenging for women comparatively because men can be ruthless. They can take hard decisions. When it comes to women, they'll think twice when some hard decision is to be taken. So to that extent, there is slight difference, and which will always remain.
Ma'am, in leadership roles, I would say it is not so difficult. The difficulty lies in managing both home and work. That is where women, face challenges. It's not just per se leadership, because at the back of their mind, they have lots of other things going on. That is the reason. We are not able to give 100% to what we are doing sometimes. That makes the task difficult. So if you can address that, then I do not think that it's going to be really difficult.
Mine is okay, but I felt I'm seeing others. Can you?
I think we are having some network issues at Bhavna ma'am's end. Bhavna ma'am, can you hear us? Bhavna ma'am, can you hear us?
My connection is okay, Shanu. I don't know.
Okay, but we are not able to see you and hear you, ma'am. I think some network issues.
Sorry, I think my connection was. Don't know what happened.
Divya ma'am, in the meanwhile, we can go to the next question, please.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
I think.
Now, so moving towards the second question, which we have from participant. How much support group is important for an individual to be an achiever?
Oh yes, it's very, very important, especially for women, because at the early stages of their career, they need support as the children to rearing up children, how they can, make this possible both for the family and your work. So support is where your extra points, brownie points that lies. If you have good support, it becomes easier. For per se myself, I had my parents in Kolkata and I had my in-laws in Kolkata, and I had both the support, and I have most important, the most supportive husband. So if I had the support, then I could rely on them so that I'm clear in my head that my child is taken care. He's not just wasting his time, because you see, the first few years of a child is very, very important. He gathers the most in those years. And if you can take this help of support and see that he is not missing out, even though you are away, then that greatly helps. In my case also, my child, he is like an achiever too. He is in the top places. So I would say that that makes a difference. The support is very, very important. It wouldn't be possible if you didn't have the right support.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, next question. Nowadays, there are courses for almost all these skills. Is undergoing a course also important for being a leader?
Oh yes, you gain knowledge. If you undergo any kind of course for improving your skill set, okay, you can do it yourself as well. But you see, just like you know your profession well, they know their profession also well. So gathering knowledge and skills from courses is definitely important. It helps you in every way. It doesn't harm you in any way. It helps you. It only adds on. So why not?
Moving ahead towards the next question. Apart from technical knowledge, what other skills are important for being a good leader?
Divya ma'am, I think Bhavna ma'am has joined us back. Bhavna ma'am? Again, some network issues.
Not visible and audible. Shanu ma'am, shall we wait for joining? We can wait for Bhavna ma'am for 2-3 minutes.
If we can do that, please.
Shall we wait for
We
Bhavna
can
ma'am?
wait for 1 minute.
Yeah, we can wait. Okay.
I think she's having some serious network issues at her end. We can continue. Divya ma'am, we can
log out. Could she log out and log in again? I think that would sort out the problem.
She has done that. She has done that, ma'am.
Now she's visible. Bhavna ma'am, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can very much. I've joined from another device. The battery there was very low. So I think now it's okay.
Yeah, you're back.
I can hear you all.
Okay, ma'am. So ma'am,
can you hear me?
Yeah. Sangeeta ma'am, can you hear? Yeah, we can.
You can hear, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
I think, ma'am, repeat the question so that we could get Bhavna ma'am's views on the earlier questions as well.
Yes.
Yeah, the question was, how much a support group is important for an individual to be an achiever? Ma'am, Bhavna ma'am,
support from who?
Group support. Friends, family, how much group support? And what if their support is not there? Like Sangeeta ma'am told, if there is good support, then it's okay. But suppose if the support is not there, if they're not getting that much support, what is the choice before them? I think
it's going to be more
support
for them.
Bhavna ma'am?
Yeah.
I think it's better we can have your voice only.
You can hear me?
Now we can hear you. But you can
One second, I'll just put my video off.
Yes,
you can hear me? Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So support is extremely, extremely important. Your husband, very close family, in-laws, your own parents, all of them, their support is extremely critical. Because without that, to do all the work that you're doing, still, is it frozen or you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear, ma'am.
Okay, I think I'll stop the video and then maybe it's better.
Yes,
I'll try doing that.
It's better if you stop your video.
Yeah. Is it clearer, better now? Is it better now?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Okay, so the support to my mind is most important. Without that, it's extremely difficult. Like if you have to leave your child in a crash or with somebody, you're not comfortable. Or, I mean, even if you have a maid looking after your child, if there is someone, your mother or mother-in-law or somebody, father-in-law, anybody, somebody in the house that gives you that mental comfort, which is very critical to my mind. Then the friends, the mentor, as Sangeeta mentioned earlier.
Ma'am, I just wanted to ask that where there is support, that is good enough. But in case if there is lack of support, then what is the recourse to be opted? Any suggestions? In case there are women who want to achieve more, they can do more, but there's lack of support from their family and friends, then what is the recourse before then? Can you give us your advice on that? Sangeeta ma'am, if you can add on to that.
You have to see your priorities now. Because if you have a young child at home, then and you don't have support, then you don't have a choice. You can work from home, like Bhavna ma'am said, for a couple of years, work from home or do part-time. You have to see your choices and then, decide what to do. So definitely you can't be at the top of it with no support. People who have support will definitely do better. That's for sure. And mentally, you need to be very, very strong. Your child may be sick, and yet if you have work to attend to, which is important, you can't compromise on that. And yet you can't compromise on your child's health too. So that's the balance you need to have. And if in such times, if you have support, then it greatly helps.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I'm moving forward towards the next question. Apart from technical knowledge, what other skills are important for being a good leader? We have already discussed few of them, but your advice on most important qualities which a leader have, apart from the technical knowledge.
Am I to answer?
Yeah, I think Bhavna ma'am's network connection is poor. She couldn't listen to us.
I feel that for women, health is also a very, very important factor, which I mentioned in my talk also. Because you need to be healthy, you need to be fit to be able to physically attend to all of your duties. So I think we should give some time to ourselves at whatever stage in life, look after our health and nutrition, and do our, like I do yoga, meditation to keep myself calm. And basically what you eat goes into your body, makes your health. So we should be conscious of that, and I think that is one very, very major factor apart from the technical knowledge. Because if you're not able to go to work, if you're not able to perform, then all the knowledge is useless. So that is what I have in my life focused on, apart from my knowledge and work.
So apart from knowledge and work, health is also important.
That is most important, in fact.
Most important, yes, correct, ma'am.
And as we grow older, it becomes even more, it gives a call. So that's very, very important.
The question is, please elaborate on how a good leader should address conflict of interest issues.
Should I take that, Divya?
Yeah, ma'am, sure.
Yeah.
Shall I repeat the question?
Yeah, basically you're asking how to deal with, the participant is asking how to deal with conflict of interest. So yes, first of all, one would have to decide what sort of, which area specifically that you are looking at. But generally in conflict of interest, one withdraws oneself. So where you find that there is a conflict, as a leader, you must withdraw yourself from that. So sometimes what happens is you are in a meeting and some discussion is going on where you find that there is some interest that you have or could potentially have. The best thing is immediately to recuse yourself, saying that there could be some area where I may have interest or some potential interest because there is a conflict. We as professionals often have faced situations where you are handling one client and someone else So where again, we very politely say that, no, this matter we cannot even talk to you about or discuss because I have a conflict of interest. I'm already advising some other client on this issue. Now, this is not the tax issue or things like that. But say you are doing some audit, somebody asks some question or says that, oh, can you take up this assignment, which could have conflict with the work that you are doing. And this also comes significantly when you are doing advisory work and people who are in financial services. This very often comes up, and where one very clearly says that we cannot handle, because we are talking of a comparatively small or medium-sized organization. If you are a very large organization which has 1,000 employees, different geographies, then if someone else in some other office is handling, by and large, you are not even associated, not involved, you don't know, you accordingly disclose that part of it. But it's always very important for you to disclose the fact that this is the situation, whatever is the practical situation, that there could be some conflict of interest.
So transparency is what is important at that point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And withdrawal, not participating. It's like you need to be, it's like, you have to be seen to be so. You may be independent, but you must be also seen to be independent, and therefore it's very essential for you to communicate conflict. Yeah, Shan.
Yeah, I was just saying, like we have some earlier questions. If Divya ma'am can ask those questions from Bhavna ma'am, so that we can have her views also.
Yeah, sure. We had question. Nowadays, there are courses for almost all the skills. Is undergoing a course important for being a leader?
See, leader is certain skill sets. But as a leader, you also must know your subject. Because if you don't know your subject, how are you going to lead? How are you going to guide people? So therefore, it's essential that you also know the subject. You may not be the master of the subject. You can hire the right people, but you should at least have an idea of what that subject is. Again, it depends. Your own organization, it's essential that you have that technical knowledge and a good knowledge. So in a sense, you have mastery on it. Otherwise, at least the broad knowledge, because if you are going to say, I'm talking from a professional perspective, you're going to tell your clients that, yes, we are in an area of cybersecurity. Now, you want to sell to that client the fact that, and as a leader, that's your job, right? To sell. So you want to sell now, and you want to tell the client that we are in cybersecurity. How will you ever talk to a client when you don't know what it involves? So you must know some aspects of it, and then you have your specialist or person who's going to handle that work be with you. But you need to know.
Thank you, ma'am. We had the question, apart from technical knowledge, what other skills are important for being a good leader?
I dealt with many of them, but essentially you have to be able to drive whatever is your vision or mission. So whatever you want to do, you should be able to drive that, and you should be able to take your people with you for that. Now, again, it depends or varies depending on the size, on the sector that you are talking of. So if the question is from someone who's in industry, and then which area is that person handling, what is the sector, how can one grow? And so the skills required will be different. But if you are, say, in a profession, which is, say, a medium-sized profession, then you should be able to have connect with the clients. You should ensure that you are delivering the best quality to the client in timely manner, and you are available to the client whenever he or she needs. So when the client comes back saying, this is, I need this audit by such and such date, You need to set proper schedule, time schedule, and you have to convey to the client, this is what we can deliver, cannot deliver within this time, yes or no. That's what a leader does. And then you have your team to back you up. But you can't take unrealistic goals or unrealistic targets. If somebody says, no, I want this work to be done tomorrow, invariably you should be able to convince that person, and as a leader, that no, it cannot be delivered tomorrow, and why it cannot be delivered tomorrow. And it should be so convincing that you are able to retain the client and yet satisfy him, give him the work, but as per the time that you can manage without taking risks or chances. You have to do your work, and quality cannot be compromised.
Thank you, ma'am. We have a next question from a participant. How COVID pandemic has changed the leadership style?
I dealt with it in my presentation. Lot of things have changed, no?
The most important change is from physical to virtual mode.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, so many things have changed, the way you work, the way you do things, the way you approach, the type of work.
Also in a time when incomes have gone down, doing virtual work is also, batching up the costs also.
We have a question. In world of men, how does the women professionals develop and lead a mixed team?
I really don't see it as a challenge. Yes, men's world is men's world, and today, even in our profession, we are only 20%. When we qualified, we could count ourselves on fingertips, 4, 5, 3, whatever. So the numbers were very small. Now they are growing. But now in a profession, it's not like, men's world or women's world. In general, yes, for the country as a whole, we have men dominant group because they were all there at that time. Today, we find most of the offices will confirm that there are 50% women. Articles, 50%, even work-wise, employees, 50%, corporates yet, not so many, but they are growing in number. In leadership position, fewer, because if at the base there are not so many, obviously as you keep up, and the number keeps shrinking as you grow up. But one needs to, again, the same qualities which we spoke about earlier. So long as you are confident, you are able to deal with the situation, you know what is expected of you, what is to be delivered, and how to take people along.
Thank you, ma'am. These were the questions which were all raised by the participants, and I hope they have all been answered. Now we all know that a leader is the one person who finds opportunity in every difficulty, and a leader has to be a guiding factor. He can lead from back, as Bhavna ma'am told, that he can lead. He has to keep his team before him, and he can lead from back, and he has to try to find optimism, opportunities in each and every difficulty. So with concluding this, we're really thankful to both the eminent speakers, Bhavna Doshi ma'am, Sangeeta Agarwal ma'am, for sparing their precious time with us and patiently answering all the questions of the participants, giving their valuable additions in us, sharing their personal experiences, achievements, which will be source of inspiration for all our participants. And these sessions will really be fruitful for all of us. It will make all of us think that yes, we can inculcate leadership qualities in us, either today or in future. We can do it, and both our home, our work can be managed. But we have to be strong. We have to inculcate our strengths. And as the parable told us, the footprints, that in tough times, God will be with us always. And if we're doing a positive work, He will always help us. So really thankful. And I'm also very much thankful to our Committee Chairperson Kemisha Soni ma'am, Vice Chairman CA Pramod Jain sir, for giving us such a wide platform. I think Pramod Jain sir has Pramod sir, welcome.
Namaste to all. Namaste to all. Sorry, I was out somewhere, so I could not join.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Same here, same here.
We are just waiting for your closing remarks, please.
Yes, sir. We are all waiting for you.
Thank you, Shanu. Thank you, Divya ji, Sangeeta ji, Bhavna ji. Bhavna ji, I suppose, has already left.
No, Bhavna ji.
I'm there.
Anji. So great. Thanks to Sangeeta ji and Divya ji for moderating, and Sangeeta ji for taking the session, and Bhavna ji. And my I thank both the speakers and the moderator and our chairperson CA Kemisha Soni ji for organizing these regular programs, and our secretariat headed by CA Shanu Goel ji for doing a wonderful job. And the way this committee is working in a way that they are giving the opportunities to the female members themselves per se, so that they can improve their working, and the speakers where they are disseminating knowledge that yes, we are doing such, you also can do that. So leading by an example. So I really thank all the speakers today, the moderator, and all the participants for joining and doing a continuously patronizing the WMEC with their regular participation. Thanks a lot to each and everyone. Thanks Divya ji, Sangeeta ji, Shanu ji, and our main Bhavna Doshi ji is not there right now, our past council member, and our current council member, CA Kemisha Soni ji, the chairperson. Thanks to each and everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.